and welcome to today's show. Now, we've just about got all the goodie out of July 2014, and we're getting ready to slide right on into August. And if you're in Tennessee, you know it's hot as Hades out there. You also then know that deer archery season is right around the corner. And despite the heat, you need to get the bow out, knock the dust off, and get out there and start getting those muscles retrained in their muscle memory and get back into shape. Now, in honor of it being hot as the devil out there, I thought I'd make a good Indian curry for a breakup of a change. And in that, this particular one has a unique ingredient. It's called hing. Now, that is the Hindi name for it. It also has a common name, the devil's dung, because it smells so good. It's a little bit sulfury, a little bit pungent. I don't know how to describe it, short of saying it stinks. Now, you might ask, why in the world would somebody put something like that in there? It's because this particular ingredient, and I hate to butcher this word because I always have trouble saying S04E08, is that you might see the English word in some of your diet pills, some of the remedies, some of the homeopathic remedies, because it's often used as a digestive comfort, digestive aid to the body. So it's probably not a bad thing to put just a tiny little pinch of this in there. The recipe calls for it. So we thought we'd give it that a whirl. And you'll find it in several of the Indian cuisines. So if you don't want to, don't put it in there. You don't have to. You can skip it. It may be even hard for you to find. You have to go generally to an Indian market to get some of this stuff. Now, what's at the base of this is a masala, and if you remember from masalas are spices. There's a spice blend. They're the curry. Basically, the curry is the end result, but the masala is the powdered spice that we use. And we're going to use a little bit of what's known as garam masala. It's very common, used a lot of time with meats and some other things like that. So let's get to it. Now, as a reminder for those who may not be familiar with some of the earlier ones, I think I did a sambar video, and I may do another one here in the near future. This is a masala, and what a masala is it's a spice blend. So, I mean, that's basically what you need to equate it to in your mind. Now, this is the garam masala. Have a couple others. The ingredients, when you look in the back of what's in the masalas, it'll tell you, and you can tell that there's a difference in them. But this is a sambar. And this is basically a sambar is a vegetable stew, often made in like October and August when the pumpkins come in. And I may do another one of those. Garam is used a lot of time with meat, and this is, of course, is a tandoori. Now, tandoori makes some pretty darn good chicken. In fact, if you ever go to an Indian restaurant and you don't know what else to try, and you see the tandoori chicken, you might give that a shot. I don't know if you like it or not, but we may even do a video on that. So this is just some of the couple, packages that I got in the cabinet, and I thought, well, they just have their different ingredients to them. Now this one has, of course, coriander, chili, black powder, cumin, nutmegs, dried ginger, mango, fennel, caraway, that sort of thing. And let's see, the tandoori, say what it's got on in there. Yes, paprika, salt, red chili, ginger, black pepper, cumin, brown, cardamom, garlic, anise, cinnamon, citric acid. So you see right off the bat, they just have different ingredients. So you just need to get the right curry. If you think you can make something like with just the yellow curry, well then, and you don't like that, that's not a guarantee that you're not going to like one of these Indian curries. But it's something to try and something to do that's a little bit different for you. So let's take a quick rundown of the ingredients. Of course, this is turmeric. This is the masala. This is a hot red pepper chili powder. And a lot of times if you see in Indian recipes, you see something that says chili powder, it's powdered chili pepper. It's not the cumin-based masala that you buy already made up. This is, of course, about twice that in cumin seeds that we're going to toast in a little bit of coconut oil. That's about, I don't know, half a tablespoon. Garlic ginger paste. Now, if you don't have garlic ginger paste, because it's very, very common, it often comes like little sized pickle jars about so big. If you don't have any, you can grind up about 3 cloves of garlic and about equal volume of ginger. Put that in, blend that up and that sort of thing, and get a garlic ginger paste. Put a little water with it. Salt to taste. We're going to use a little tofu, And don't freak out on me, guys. Tofu. Adding that for protein, because that's basically all this is protein. I'm adding also chickpeas. And if you look at the ingredients of a chickpea, the basic or the data on chickpea, it's 18 carbs to fibers of 6. So you got 3 to 1 carb to 6. That's pretty good fiber, net carbs, and that if you watch that sort of thing. And a can of diced tomatoes, and I'm going to use the water out of here too, just so I'm just going to blend it up. Now, with that, if I had a garden going, I'd use a fresh tomato. A potato, which is nothing but pure carb, and an onion. We're going to use that as well. Caribbean red, old dry Caribbean red from a year past or so, and I'll put that, garnish that on top, and of course the hing. Now, one of the first things I'm going to do is, of course, start the garbanzos draining. Get those kind of drained out. I want to drain the water, the liquid is some of this, out. We'll add it back later if we need it. We're going to put this into the blender. And we're going to add the garlic ginger. We're going to add the turmeric. And we're going to put the top on and blend it. Okay. Next, we're going to chop our little onion, and we'll add it in there and get it sort of emulsified. The first thing we had to do, of course, is get that little bit of tomato, kind of get it where it starts to swirl around. We'll add the onion to the tomatoes. I'm going to add back my little bit of water because we're still fairly thick. Now I'm going to wash my potato with the peeling on. I'm going to dice this up. This is a fairly big potato. I don't know if I use all of it. I may not use all of it. But now I've got the coconut oil in the bottom. And I'm going to take my little cumin seeds, place in there, because what we're going to do is we're going to sort of pan fry or braise those seeds. And we're going to put just a splash or dash of the devil's dung in here. Woo! Like Brill cream, a little dab will do you. And we'll add the little bit of tofu while I got the oil going. And as soon as we kind of put a little skin on the tofu, and that was extra firm to start with, which I think is about now, I'm going to go ahead and pour the tomatoes, the liquefied tomato and garlic ginger and other. And we're going to add our potato. I just put it all in there. I can add a little bit of water to thin it. Well, the last things we're going to put in it will be the remaining spices and the garbanzo beans, because what we need to do is we need to get those potatoes started cooking on. Each bean about 20 minutes on the boil to get the potatoes soft. I have rice to go with it. This I've made, keeping it thick, to serve over rice. Now if you want to make it more like a soup, you can add water to it, but when you do, you've got to increase your salt and your spices. Now we're at the last, so it is time to add our chickpeas. Now our chickpeas are pre-cooked, so to speak, so they're going to, that's the reason I didn't want to add them at the first. And looking at the volume here, this should be fairly mild. In fact, I may very well add a little bit more masala, which is often the case. Now, if you were just going to use this over rice, you may leave the potatoes out. If you were going to perhaps thin it down and serve it over whole wheat spaghetti, or whole wheat noodles, that might also be good. And now basically we need just to kind of bring that up. I think I add a little bit of water. Again, we have in this by itself, we have a little bit of potato for starch, for carbs. I added tofu for protein, and the garbanzo beans or the chickpeas are in there to add a little bit of fiber and a little bit of carbohydrates both. Beans are always good for the digestion. So we'll let that kind of come back up to the temperature, take a little taste, and see if we need to tweak it a little bit. Well, we have to give it a little bit of a taste test. Very mild. I don't think that'll be too much for anyone. But now, if you want a little more, you add a little bit more red pepper to it. You could, if you're sodium sensitive, leave a little less salt in it. But it works pretty good. Now let's go to the final presentation. Well, there is our final presentation. Looks a little heavy on the carbs, but then again, I'm going to go play in the fence row for a couple of hours and do about 3 hours worth of mowing. So I'm gearing up for that. Now, if you were to thin this down and treat it like a soup, then I think the potatoes probably ought to be there. If you're going to serve it over the rice, on average, maybe that might be a little bit too much carb. Now, what you can also do and modify this recipe is you can serve it over whole wheat pasta. You can leave it as a thick curry such as that. You can do anything you want to. It is your kitchen and you are in control. You might not even want to have that red habanero chili on top.